Continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Ding, 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 ding.
Good morning, Amy Jacobson. Bruce Wolf, who's on the ding, 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 is here in for Dan Proft today and tomorrow, and then you're in charge on Friday. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be a coup.
It's going to be
the likes of which Andrew McCabe could never have dreamed of.
Yeah, Andrew McCabe on the well, he's promoting his new book, and last night on with Anderson Cooper, did you hear what he said?
No.
He said that it's possible that President Trump could be a Russian asset.
I think it's possible. I think that's why we started our investigation, and I'm really anxious to see where Director Mueller concludes that.
I mean, do you watch these interviews too? It's almost insufferable to watch him plow through these interviews because he went on the Today Show, on Good Morning America, CNN, just to sell his book. But he's a proven liar. He lied 4 times.
Yeah. If he's a Russian asset, can we sell him off to pay off our pension debt?
I don't know. Let's begin there with Stephen Moore, our good friend. Stephen Moore, how are you doing this morning?
Hi, guys. Good morning. Well, we've got about 4 inches of snow here in Washington, so the city is paralyzed. The government is shut down. I don't know if that makes you happy or not.
Another shutdown. Yay!
Well, you guys are wusses compared to Illinoisans because we can handle 4 inches of snow. But you know that because you went to New Trier High School. You're from Illinois.
Yeah, no, around here, when it snows like this, it's like total pandemonium, and this is like a typical winter day in Chicago. But, the government is shut down today, folks.
Well, we're shut down in Illinois, of course. We've taken a step backwards by electing Governor Pritzker. And yesterday he signed into law a $15 minimum wage by, I believe, 2025. We've rehearsed the arguments about the minimum wage ad nauseum, but give it to us
now
again.
It's here.
How deleterious will this be to Illinois' already faltering economy?
Well, you should look at, in fact, I just wrote my column this week on what I call the 4 states of the apocalypse. And they, you want to guess what those 4 states are?
Yeah, no.
Sure.
Illinois, New Jersey.
Illinois, yes.
New Jersey, New York.
Yes.
California.
Well, no, Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Those are the 4.
Very good,
those are the 4 states that are in dire status, and what they all have in common is the high minimum wages, high, required unionization, and high minimum wages and high taxes. And you should look in Chicago at what happened in New York last week when Amazon, which was going to bring 25,000 new jobs, plus we estimate another 10,000, related jobs. So 35,000 jobs were going to come to Queens, New York. And the politicians, because of their craziness, they said, oh, well, of course Amazon's going to have to pay a high minimum wage, and they're going to have green energy, and everybody's going to have to be unionized, and you're going to have to do this and that. And then Amazon just said, hey, guys, you know what? We're going to go to somewhere that actually wants business.
I love it.
Business. And now they're probably going to end up in Tennessee. Now, the reason I say that is Illinois is very much in the same circumstance. And by the way, did you see what AOC, Alexandria Cortez, said? We don't want you stinking 25,000 jobs. You're just corporate greed and blah, blah, blah. And
Stephen, you're culturally appropriating by doing an imitation of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
She's such an economic guru. She makes me feel smart when it comes to numbers. But she actually thought that $3 billion was actually
revenue.
There.
Yeah, she thought it was
that they now will hire more teachers. And she doesn't get it.
She actually thinks she's not a very smart person. She actually thinks that there's $3 billion that the state is sitting around that's going to give to Amazon. That's not what was happening. They were going to give them an abatement on the $3 billion of the $20 billion of taxes they were going to pay over the next 20 years. And she says, "Oh, we've got this golden pot of money." There's no pot of money there. It's absurd. And that's the situation that is in these 4 states. Illinois, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York have all raised their taxes on the rich through the roof. They're losing people. They're losing their wealthy. They're losing businesses. And, a $15, you asked me what impact will a $15 an hour minimum wage have. It's going to hurt. Look, if the economy keeps booming like it is under Trump, it'll negate the negative effect because there's so many jobs right now. The problem is the people who will be hurt the most by raising your minimum wage to $15 an hour are the people who have the least skilled, the people at the very bottom. I mean, the irony is that liberals love to talk about, shrinking the gap between the rich and the poor. The people who will be the most victimized are the people at the very bottom, because instead of having a job at maybe $9 an hour, they're going to have no job at $15 an hour.
Yeah, but we'll make it up in volume.
Look, I said this before, Amy, on your show. I remember I said this last year. My first job was working in Northbrook, Illinois, in a little factory, and my wage was $2.10 an hour. Now I'm older than you think, but $2.10, and I look back at that. And that was my first job. That was one of the most important jobs I ever had.
Yeah, and didn't you have to you were like me. You and I had work permits when we were 15 to make that minimum.
Exactly.
Mine was at Diamond Dave's in Randhurst. But the low minimum wage was a motivator to get a better job.
Right.
Exactly, and it also you learn a lot of skills on your first job. Look, the point is, the vast majority of minimum wage jobs are starter jobs, are your first or second job, and you learn a lot of job skills on your first job. I bet everybody listening to the show remembers. Oh, I remember the first job I ever had, and I want to go back and give my employer a big hug. I mean, he taught me job skills. He taught me how to work a cash register, how to show up on work on time, how to be nice to my boss,
how to dress,
that kind of thing.
But Stephen,
those are useful life skills.
Even back then, it was unfair because you, as a white kid from Northbrook, were the beneficiary of the minimum wage, which actually their wages could have been lower back then, and you could have employed kids in the inner city. True.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is true.
Actually,
what was your first job?
One of the best days of my life was when I came in after about 3 months on the job, and my boss said, "We're raising you from $2.10 to $2.25." I was above the minimum wage.
All right, and you've gone from that to being.
I got an extra $1 a day.
Yeah, let me. Oh, that was big back then. Let me throw a softball at you right now. Is the Trump economy, which you have said is successful, of course you have a vested interest in it, is this just a sugary surge? Stephen, are we going to be able to see a long-term structural supply side change as a result of the Trump economy, or is it too soon to judge even now?
Oh, look, I mean, so far, for a couple of things. Number one, so far so good, right? I mean, so far the results are phenomenal. I saw the president 3 weeks ago over at the White House, and I was just laughing with him, and I just said, sort of these policies are working better than when you and I and Larry Kudlow, started to draw up some of these plans. So, the economy is doing. We have 7.2 million new jobs, more jobs today than people to fill them. That's more jobs than the entire population of Indiana. So that's how many surplus jobs we have today. Now, your question is this a sugar high? The irony, of course, is the same people who said, because I debated these people back in 2016. They said, Trump's policies are going to completely collapse the economy. We're going to have a second Great Depression. This is going to be this is the worst economic plan ever. Now we got this booming economy and say, this is a sugar high. It's never going to last. Who knows how long it's going to last, but the reason it's not a sugar high, though, is because the tax cuts don't go away. It's not like that, starting in June, the tax cuts go away. The tax cuts last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I'd like to make them permanent, but at least for the next 5 years, no, there's no sugar high here. People are going to continue to get the tax cut. Businesses are going to continue to have one of the lowest tax rates in the world now from having the highest tax rates. All of that is very productive for the U.S. economy.
Well, I like getting more money back in my paycheck, but do you want to finish? What did you want to say?
Oh, I just wanted to say one other thing. There is one really, important thing that's happening on the economy right now that everybody that could disrupt this expansion, and that is the China trade negotiations. Trump has to get this trade deal done with China. I think the deadline is March 1st. So
but he said yesterday he might extend the deadline, that it's not set in stone.
They might extend it, yeah. So we'll see. But if Trump can get that trade deal done, guys, I think you're going to see you think the economy's strong now and the stock market's good now. If you think that they're going to get this trade deal done, I think they will. I mean, buy stock now because the Dow's going to surge through 30,000 if they get the trade deal.
Stephen,
one point of contention that I have, though, is Illinoisans, if you have not filed your tax returns yet, you are in for a big surprise. You can't write off any employee business expenses that you used to for my whole life. You can't do that. And then we have a cap on $10,000 for state income tax. and property taxes. And that's, I mean, I honestly, Steve, no, that's not good.
Of
My
course
neighbor was
Amy,
bawling.
Amy.
She was crying because they pay $24,000 a year in taxes.
Then lower your taxes in the state of Illinois.
We don't have control over that.
Oh, no, you're just a voter. Sorry, Stephen, we're arguing. Go ahead.
We're like an old married couple.
Look, I'm one of the people who insisted during the tax negotiations that we cap the state and local taxes. Actually, I'll tell you why. It simply is. I live in Virginia. You live in Illinois. You say you're paying $24,000 in state and local taxes.
I'm not. My neighbor is.
No, but I'm just saying. Let's say somebody is paying $24,000 in state and local taxes.
Yeah.
That's absurd. It's ridiculous. Why don't the people in Illinois rise up and protest and vote for people who will cut the taxes? You know, in Virginia, my tax burden is about half of what it is in Illinois, and yet you keep electing these dingbats like Pritzker, who say, "Oh, we're going to raise taxes even higher." I mean, you have to suffer the consequences of the politicians that you elect.
Here,
well,
Stephen.
The Democrats are finally waking up to this,
so that you have all these services in Illinois.
No, amen to that.
Sense.
Even amen to that, Stephen. But getting back to China just for a quick second, don't you find it ironic that we don't like that China is a command economy, but we're actually asking them to be even more of one by instructing them to purchase U.S. products, or China will instruct itself to purchase more U.S. products instead of having the free flow of commerce. Don't you find that ironic?
I mean, it's a good question.
I was going to ask the same question.
What I want China to do is just lower their tariffs and trade barriers so that Americans can sell more goods over there. I mean, Trump does have a point. I mean, it's not a level playing field. Their tariffs are 3 times higher than our tariffs are, and Trump is basically saying, look, if you're going to keep pounding us with these high tariffs, we're going to punish you with tariffs. The goal is to get, what we call, when I proposed to Larry Kudlow and the president, why don't we just call for 0 for 0? We'll go to 0 on tariffs if they go to 0 for tariffs. I don't think that they're going to go for that, but I think at the end of the day, what we're going to see is China reducing their trade barriers against the United States. That means we're going to sell them more corn, more soybeans, more blue jeans, more bourbon, more manufacturing goods. And that's good for American workers. By the way, it'll be good for China, too. I mean, free trade is good. Tariffs are bad. So we got to get Beijing to lower their tariffs. By the way, they're also stealing $300 billion a year from us in our intellectual property.
Hey,
$300 billion?
Stephen, we got good news for you. We got good news for you, Stephen. We've raised your rate here on the show to $2.35 an hour. Okay? So that's what you're getting.
Congratulations.
Yeah, right.
All right, Stephen Moore, we're going to have to leave it there for today. Always a pleasure having you on the show, although I'm mad at you about your idea to cap my state property taxes at $10,000.
I know. You know what I said? I said about this is let's stick it to Amy Jacobson.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. No vacation for us this summer. Appreciate it. All
right. Next time I'll buy you lunch.
Okay. Thank you, dear. Stephen Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN, and a current Donald Trump